The great part about life is we get to decide who we eat chocolate with. The chocolate is what matters. Well, the chocolate isn't what matters. The people who we share it with are. And if you've seen Wonka, you know what I'm talking about. And if you haven't seen Wonka, it's perfectly okay because I'm only going to give a couple of references from the movie. And I wouldn't say there's any major spoilers in this video that I'm going to be covering. I wanted to primarily talk about how we can do certain things. So like we can make a lot of money, we can live in a certain place, we can move around, we can do anything that we want to do, kind of like Wonka did in Willy Wonka, or just in Wonka, the new movie that just came out. And I've come to realize from the people that I've talked with, it's like, okay, I'm going to go over here, I'm going to go do this, I'm going to go do that. I'm going to move away to this new city because this is where I'm going to find myself. This is where I'm going to make my family. This is where I'm going to solve all my problems. And what I can say from my own personal experiences is no matter where you go, there you are. That's just a simple quote. And I've spent a lot of time on my own, out in the deserts, meditating, creating my own reality, creating my own, just like trying to understand self by looking within instead of looking without. And it's something that I highly recommend everybody does. And the thing about Wonka is his mom in this series collected chocolate beans every single day for him until she had enough cocoa beans to make him a bar of chocolate. And Wonka said that this is the best chocolate that I've ever had. And his mom was like, you're just being nice. Like, it's like, no, this is the most amazing chocolate. So Wonka, he wanted to make chocolate so that he could be with his mom for the rest of his life. And he put all of his other studies aside. He never learned how to read. He didn't learn how to do anything else other than make chocolate. And from him doing so, he became the best chocolate maker in the entire world, which is something that I think we can all learn from. If we focus on one thing, we can create anything that we want to create from said chocolate. And that's the nice part about this whole thing is we get to decide the people that we let into our life. We get to decide what we do. We get to decide who we are. We get to decide what we believe. We get to decide who we share our chocolate with. And our chocolate is a metaphor for our energy, our life, ourselves, because if we are sharing our chocolate with the wrong people, then we aren't going to be fulfilled on the inside. Because I have a feeling that you can look back and you can think, and if not, I'd suggest doing that right now. Has there ever been a time where you have been hanging around somebody and like you were having a good time? It's just like you got back home and you just felt emotionally drained and empty, and it's just like, what just happened? It almost felt like they're vampires sucking away all of your energy, all of your will, all of your strength. And it's just like you don't want to be in those positions anymore. That's like the last place that you want to be in. Because if you're in that position all the time, it's like, well, all right, I don't want to do anything now. And that's the nice part, because if you're able to recognize that and you feel that awareness, you feel that there are people that are sucking energy out of you or draining you mentally, then you can change who you share your chocolate with, because what really matters is the people that are around you. And yes, movies and TV shows and cartoons and anime, they make it easy because obviously it's set up in a way that shows like, yes, you're gonna run into the right people, you're gonna have the most amazing life, you're gonna succeed at your goals, and they do all of that in a 2-hour time frame, which in real life it's more of like maybe a 2-year time frame or a 2-week time frame or a 2-month time frame or a 20-year time frame. Like the time frame changes. It's just as long as you don't give up, you will reach the place that you're wanting to reach, and you will have fallbacks and shortcomings. Like in Wonka, we can look at how when he was after he was sabotaged for opening his chocolate shop, he was sent away onto the ocean, and that was like the falling action. That was where he was at his end's rope. That's where he wasn't able to continue making chocolate, and he had to go home, just as every hero does. In order for us to succeed, and I believe Joseph Campbell talks about this, there's going to be times where nobody believes in us. Everybody's trying to push us away. Everybody's trying to dim our light. And I believe I talked about that in another video on a different day. Everybody's trying to dim our light. And that's when we, as the main character, as the protagonist of the story, decides what to do next. Are we going to succumb? Are we going to fall? Are we going to stay little and decide that, you know what? Yeah, people are telling me I shouldn't share my chocolate, so I'm not going to share my chocolate. Or are we going to look at it from a different perspective and be like, you know what? somebody's trying to keep me away from what I'm supposed to do, and I want to share my chocolate regardless of what that person says, and I'm going to amount to the challenge, and I'm going to rise up, and I'm going to make the most out of said given moment. At that point in time, that's when we become the hero. Because we aren't doing it for our own selfish needs. We're doing it because we know it's the right thing to do, because we had the idea and we want to see the idea through, and we want to just keep being persistent and pushing, because the more we push, the more we start to bring into the reality the right people, the right situations, and from there we can start to create our own chocolate factory, because we're creating a movement, because we have a dream, because we aspire to be something more than we are right now. And it's still a matter of acknowledging, like, yeah, hey, we're good with where we're at. We have accomplished so much. We've made it as far as we possibly can, and we are in a very good spot. And being able to acknowledge that is where we start to build that community, because Wonka, he just dedicated his years to building chocolate. He probably didn't imagine that he would have other people and meet the people that he did at the hotel that he stayed at, and yet he did. And those were the people that he decided to share his chocolate with, because they saw what he was capable of and what he had done, not even what he was capable of, but what he had done, what he had shared, what he had experienced, and the giving that he had gave back to everybody. They wanted to help him on his dream as well, too, because one guy, he was an accountant, so he understood how to manage the money for Wonka. One of the girls, she understood how to communicate, so she was the one that was sharing the communication stories with them. And then one of the other females was understanding how the tunnel system works, so that they could avoid the law and sell his chocolate without getting caught by the big corporations, and he could be the little man that could change the world. And it really does just take one person that is willing and open and authentic enough to share what is on the inside to the rest of the world, and then other people start to have that same feeling where they want to share what's on the inside within them as well too. It takes time, it takes practice, and it will take some forging, like putting yourself into the fire or messing up on some chocolate from time to time, because once we start to do that, we start to see like, oh, hey, I can share my chocolate with this person, or I can share my chocolate with that person. And you can share your chocolate with everybody when you do have true authenticity and love within your heart. Then, yeah, share it with everybody. Sometimes people will take advantage of that and will want to bring you down because they don't want to see you shine in the way that you can. And that's a them problem. That's not a you problem. You keep doing you. You keep being strong. You keep moving forward. You keep sharing your chocolate with everybody. You keep making the memories, and see what happens. Because in 6 months' time, and 5 months' time, and 4 weeks' time, for all we know, things will be in a completely different spot than they ever have been, just because we decided to share our chocolate with just because we decided to share our chocolate with everybody. And I think that's the best part about this whole thing. And I do apologize for the whole, I need to figure out how not to have those sounds be heard over the microphone. That's the great part about this whole thing, is we get to share the chocolate with those that we want to, and the right people will enjoy it and they will want to see us shine, whereas the wrong people, karma will catch up to them and things will just kind of work out how they're supposed to. That's why I've always believed that it's good to do good and just let everything else take care of themselves. I worry about me, you worry about you, and we just continue to move forward from there.